Hey folks, back again with more fun data to play with in Power BI. This time, what I have is So I went to data.gov and looked for some airline data. Okay, so I was looking for just data regarding how many flights get delayed by airline and how many flights get canceled and stuff like that. So I looked for that data on data.gov, and this is what I found. Okay, I don't exactly remember how I reached this page, but essentially this page, what it does is it shows me that kind of data, right? So canceled flights, delayed flights, etc. by airline, and it gives you data by month. Okay, so if you want, you can download all of the data and collate them all in one Excel sheet. But I just downloaded data for October 2015. All right, and when I did that, when I downloaded that data, this is what it looked like. Okay, so as you can see, this is actually a good chunk of data. All right, so it has like roughly around 500,000 rows, and so those many flights actually took place or were supposed to take place in the month of October. All right. So, but it essentially shows me, okay, the month, which is, October, and then 2015 year, and, which days the flights were scheduled, and, what airlines and, where they were flying from, where they were flying to, airport, city, etc. But also, it gives me like, what was the departure time and if it was delayed, how many minutes it was delayed by, or if it was canceled. There's some more columns down there. And then, but then it also has very specific information as well, like, wheels off, wheels on. I don't really care for any of that, but there will be people who want to know all of that information. But essentially, the idea is that this data set right here is giving me very, very good, very detailed information about each flight that took off or was supposed to take off from airports in the United States. Okay, so I downloaded this data, and then I went into Power BI and created some insightful charts. Okay, so again, this is just a sample. You can do whatever you want with that kind of data in Power BI, right? So but what I have done here is I have a few bar charts. Um, I try to include some more charts on this page, but bar charts just made more sense, so that's why I have just that for different scenarios. And also, so just to explain what's going on here, each chart. So the first chart right here is showing me the average delay of flights. So any flight that was delayed, what's the average amount of delay that happened in minutes by airline. Okay, so this is what it's showing me. So for example, American Airlines, the average amount of delay was 5.3 minutes, right? And similarly, so the other thing, one annoying thing about airlines is that they have these weird codes and they're not very intuitive. Okay, so American AA makes sense, DL Delta makes sense, but okay, what the hell is MQ, right? So for that, I have this page open which shows me what exactly that airline is. Apparently, Envoy. And I did Google it. Envoy is a part of American Airlines. Okay, but if you want to know what VX is, for example, okay, you have to find it out. Virgin America. Okay, so WN apparently is Southwest. So just so you know, it has these weird codes. You may have to look them up just to understand what they really are. Again, coming back to the main idea behind this chart, this is showing me average delay in minutes by airlines. This is showing me the maximum delay by airline. Okay, so again, for example, there was one flight of American Airlines that was delayed by those many minutes, 1,573 minutes, which is, I think I did a calculation. It's about 17 hours. Okay. And then there are several others, MQ, whatever that is. Let's find out real quick. Envoy, yeah, of course. Envoy is also American. So this one was delayed by 1,544. Okay, and then UA was 1,037. So this chart essentially is showing me the maximum amount of time that a flight was delayed by. And then there's minimum as well. Okay, so I did not know this, but there are flights that fly before their scheduled time as well, and that's what this is. You'll notice that all these bars are below zero. Okay, so which means that they actually took off. The delay was negative. Okay, was in negative minutes. So these flights actually took off these many minutes before their scheduled time. Maybe all the passengers showed up on time and there was no other delay, whatever, and the pilots decided to just take off. Maybe that's what the story is here. Okay, so, but this is what it is. Some flights take off like 40 minutes before their scheduled time, right? And then there are others that are taking off 21 minutes below their scheduled time. So this is apparent. So this is all average, max and min of those delays. It's also showing you canceled flights as well. Okay, so out of however many flights that were scheduled in the month of October 2015, these many flights by airline were canceled. Okay, so we have very high numbers for American Airlines and EV, MQ. There's a reason though. Okay, so we'll find out what the reason is. But just so you know, these are very high numbers, very unusual numbers. But we'll find out why these many flights got canceled. Okay, and then this chart is showing me all of the flights that were canceled by day. Okay, so these are the 31 days in October. Okay, so it's showing me the number of flights that got delayed, or I'm sorry, canceled each day. Okay, so all of these are by airlines. This one's by day, the number of flights that got canceled, and this is all the flights that got delayed by airport or city. Okay, so now again, as we saw in the previous video, each chart gives us a story. Okay, averages, maxes, minimums, etc. But then if I want to look at one specific airline, okay, so let's see what American Airlines is all up to. Okay, so we can see that most of its flights get delayed from Dallas Fort Worth, which kind of makes sense because American Airlines is headquartered in or Dallas is its like main hub, right? So that's why we can see that a lot of flights get delayed from Dallas Fort Worth. But then a lot of flights get delayed from Charlotte and Chicago and so on and so forth. Okay, we're also seeing that a lot of flights. So out of 587 flights that were canceled on the 23rd of October, 265 were of American Airlines. Okay. Similarly, if I want to look at something else, B6, whatever that is, let's look it up real quick. JetBlue. Okay, so JetBlue, a lot of its flights get delayed from New York and a little bit from Boston and Orlando and so forth, right? The maximum amount of time that a flight was delayed by for JetBlue was 577 minutes, and let's do that math real quick. By 60, so that's like 9 hours, almost 10 hours. Okay, so that's the maximum a JetBlue flight was delayed by, and also it did pretty well, almost from the beginning to the middle of the month, but at the end its flights got quite many flights got canceled on these days. I can also look at a performance by airport as well. So if I want to see what's going on in Chicago, right? So of all the flights got delayed from Chicago, we have so many from off B6, which is that's JetBlue, and American and so on and so forth, right? So again, of the American Airlines flights that got delayed, the maximum amount of time the delay was for an American airline flight from Chicago was, as we can see, 783 minutes, right? So however many hours that is. But the basic idea here is that I'm looking at the data from different perspectives. Okay, I'm looking at either by airline or by airport or by days that the flights were canceled. Now again, as I mentioned earlier, or as we can see, there's a huge spike for canceled flights on October 23rd. And why is that? Okay, this is very unusual, right? So this seems to be the norm, but then suddenly there's a huge spike. The reason is, let me Hurricane Patricia. Okay, so Hurricane Patricia happened during that time, October 22nd, 23rd, I would say 23rd, and that's when so many flights got canceled. Okay, so that's the reason why. Okay, so all of this is happening on October 23rd, and that's the reason why we have this huge number. Okay, so what's really happening here is it's not only is it showing me the data, the right information, but it also relates to something that naturally happened as well. Okay, so if I'm looking at this huge spike here, I have a reason. I know why this spike happened. Okay, but if I didn't have a good reason, if this natural disaster didn't happen or occur, and I still had this huge spike, then obviously something's wrong with, you know, the flight. Something weird is going on, and I must investigate why that huge spike happened. Okay, so again, it's just, you know, very visually, I'm getting some insights. You know, just a few clicks here and there. I know what really is happening in terms of flight delays and cancels, and you know, if there are some unusual spikes happening, I can either I have a reason already, which is beyond my control, which is, you know, Hurricane Patricia, or I must investigate and know why this happened, and you know, bring this number down. Okay, so this is one set of charts that we have for flight cancels and delays and whatnot. I also have a different set of charts. Okay, so again, what we are looking at here is the number of flights that got canceled by courier or carrier, and also it shows you the cancellation code. Okay, so apparently in the data it has like A, B, and C, and I couldn't really figure out. I googled and stuff, trust me, but I couldn't really figure out what those cancellation codes were. So that's why I just have A, B, and C listed here. And also for delayed flights, it is showing me the delay reasons as well. Okay, so delays can be because of the carrier, or it can be weather, you know, bad weather. NAS delay, so I had to look this one up. And okay, this is all for my other blog. Yeah, there. So NAS delay is National Aviation System delays caused by that. Okay, so it can be a variety of reasons, you know, refer to a broad set of conditions such as non-extreme weather conditions, airport operations, heavy traffic volume, and air traffic control. Okay, so those reasons are under NAS. Okay, and then late aircraft as well. Okay, so and security delays. So this chart is essentially showing me the delays that happened because of these reasons. Okay, and now mind is blown by looking at the late aircraft delays. Okay, so many of these aircraft, especially this one. Look at this one. WN actually is Southwest. All right, look at the number of flights that got delayed because of late aircraft arrivals. Okay, so this just blew my mind. All right, and then similarly, you know, I mean, even American Airlines, for that matter, has a good chunk of flights that were delayed because of late aircraft, and you know, some screw ups by the carriers also caused the delay. So American Airlines has a good chunk for carrier delay, and so does Southwest and EV and all of these, you know. But looks like AS, maybe it's a small operation, that's why it has a little smaller bar, but all of its screw ups are pretty equal. Okay, right there, so you can see these are equidistant. Anyway, so you know, so this is what's happening here. You know, all of my charts. So this is showing me canceled flights. So if I'm looking at just American Airlines, I can see that a majority of the flights were canceled because of code B, whatever that is. You know, I couldn't figure that out. Similarly, if we were looking at something else, you know, EV is because of code C. So you know, so again, this is another set of charts that's showing me just different information from the same data set that we have in our Excel. Same stuff, but different stories, right? And then finally, I have a chart that shows me a map of the United States, and this is showing me flight delays by carrier from each of the cities. Okay, so as you can see, we have a legend here, and as you can see, a majority of the flights from, you know, a lot of locations is American Airlines. Those are the flights that get delayed. Delta, oops, sorry, I don't know what happened here. Delta, so their flights get delayed from these states and these right here. Okay, and B6. Okay, I gotta find out what B6 is, otherwise it'll drive me nuts. Oh, B6 JetBlue again. All right, so JetBlue is gets delayed from the East Coast, and so I mean, again, so just one big visual right here is showing me which flights get delayed from which states. So I did this by states because we have states information in the data. I could have done it by city also, but I ideally wanted to do it by airport, right? But we don't have latitude longitude for each airport. So that's why I couldn't plot that information on this map. Power BI is smart enough to, geocode cities and states. So that's why I just went by state. All right, so here we are. We're looking at airline information, flight information. Okay, so for the month of October 2015, so we started with the averages and maxes and mins for all the delays that happened, and how many flights got canceled, and how many flights got canceled by airline and by day, right? And what happens in each of the airports. So we looked at that, and we also looked at what's the reason that flights get delayed. Okay, so and this is by aircraft, and also we have airport codes, or sorry, delay codes, and finally a map that shows us delays that happen by airline per state. Okay, so and of course this is airline data, this is flight information, but this can be your own specific data as well. Okay, so if you are a company that transports things to your suppliers or vendors or whatever, you may be monitoring all of that stuff through these maps, right? So any trucks or semis, which ones got delayed or which ones didn't arrive on time, and things like that. Or you may have, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just about transportation. It can be anything really, and you can monitor all of that through these charts in Power BI. All right, so again, hopefully this made some sense. This helped in some way or the other, and I do this just for fun. I like playing with data, and Power BI is just so easy and simple that it makes the whole process just much more fun. That's why I do it, and I just think it's just fun to show all of this in the forms of video. If you have any feedbacks, if you have any comments, please definitely let me know. Either in the comments or send me an email, whatever. But again, hopefully this was meaningful to some or all of you. All right, thanks very much. Bye bye.